Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Boss Women Network podcast, where we elevate voices, vision, ventures of women who are building legacies and breaking barriers. I'm your host, Leilani, and as we continue our mission of highlighting trailblazing women across every industry, I want to remind you that the Boss Women Network will soon be rebranding to CEO ESS, which is CEOS, which means a female CEO, a movement for modern women in power. I've created something called the CEOS experience as well, and this is to help women automate their businesses with confidence, systems, and style. So today's guest is a trailblazer in maternal wellness and digital community building. She is the founder of Mama Chronicles, an empowering motherhood organization that's changing how we support women through postpartum. So let's welcome Miss Carmen Knight.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So I'm so glad to have you as well. So I guess we'll go ahead and jump on into the questions. Let's dive in.
Alrighty.
So again, thank you for joining us. Let's start with your journey. What inspired you to start Mama Chronicles, and how did your personal experience shape your vision?
That's a loaded question because I feel like it was all started from my personal journey. At the time, I was new to Houston. I'm originally from California. New to Houston, moved into a new place, met a new man, found out I was pregnant.
Oh gosh, that fast. How
Really
long are you
quickly.
here?
I moved here 2019. COVID hit 2020, and
Hmm.
everything kind of happened like right in the middle of 2021. So yeah, we were on lockdown. You know what we were doing? We were making babies. And so one, I was already isolated because of the lockdown. And then I was in a new city where I knew no one. And then I knew no one having kids, which is totally different from having regular friends. Um,
Oh,
and so it was very isolating for me to be a new mom away from my family and then like physically having to stay in the house. And so I got on this app called Peanut. And if you don't know about Peanut, it is literally like Tinder for moms.
oh,
You kind of swipe on a mom that you want to connect with, and you skip the ones that don't really align with you. And so I just started having a lot of conversations on there and realizing that a lot of new moms like myself were kind of struggling with the same things of just being isolated, not having community. And so once Houston opened up their doors, and we know that Houston really didn't close down all the way, we planned to meet up at the park. And from all the little conversations that I had, that first park unofficial meetup had 25 moms come.
wow.
And I was just like, wait, I didn't know that this many people were going to come. And it was fun. It was touch and go. I met some moms that didn't stay long, and then some stayed. And then it kind of became a thing like, how frequently are you doing this? And I'm like, oh, wait, I just thought this was a one-time thing. And it just grew from there. And so from 2021, from that first meetup that we did, we have now hosted over 100 meetups. We have a network, like our email list has about 750 moms that I have actually connected with in person. And so it's kind of grown through the different stages of motherhood that I've been in. And now being a new mom to a 3-month-old again, I'm like, spinning the block on all the ideas and things that I've missed for the new moms or the 2+ kids moms. So it's growing, and it is very much shaped from my personal experience with postpartum depression. Um, there's so many things that shifts with our identity as women in general, and then you become a mother, and then you become a partner, and it's easy to lose yourself as a person, especially if you don't have community. So Mama Chronicles is very near and dear to my heart because it has pulled me out of my own um, isolation, and I've seen how it's helped other moms, and they invite other moms to grow. So it's just kind of grown over the years, not intentionally, but that's the best type of projects.
I love it. So when you guys meet up, what are some of the activities or what are some of the things that you do?
Good question. We do a lot of different things. I think that in the very beginning, we were just trying to get together to get out of the house. And then once I became a postpartum doula and started making more connections with mental health providers in the maternal space, we started offering more resource-based events. So Postpartum and Pancakes is our signature event. That is my baby. That actually came to me in a dream.
Ah.
And seeing it come to life in real life was game changing for me. But some of our events stem from resource-based events. So we'll have different care providers come, like a midwife to talk about birthing experiences and services, or pelvic floor therapist. And then
Mm.
sometimes we go to brunch and we have different table conversations that kind of lead towards building deeper relationships with moms. I think it's one thing to have events where you're just collecting tickets, right? That's
Yeah.
fun. Everyone gets to get dressed up and go out. That's okay. Sometimes we can have those type of events. But I'm more passionate about the community building part. Like, yes, if we can have a free event, let's do that because the goal is to get as many moms to come so that they can find their community and then also be a part of the community. I really believe that you can't say, I want a village and not be a villager. You have to be willing to come out your house. You have to be willing to connect with other moms and to share your experiences, hear their experiences, and then grow from that. This isn't, hey, I'm coming to talk about my baby daddy because I don't like him all day.
Yeah.
Yes, we can create a space for that, but how do we elevate as women with our own mental, physical, emotional health so that one, we can be better to ourselves, but then better for our kids? So, resource events, fun events, we do kids events. The dads started complaining that their moms were always leaving, so we sometimes invite the dads too. Um, but it's kind of a combination of all of those things because motherhood is very dynamic.
Mm, it is. Okay. I see that you say you have a background in social innovation and digital marketing, plus you're also a life cycle retention specialist. How have those skill sets helped you grow your business and connect with moms more intentionally?
Mm. So, as you mentioned, I do have a bachelor's degree in business marketing, and then my master's is in social innovation, which is a creative way of solving problems. And most of the time, social innovation is applied to like nonprofits with social impact
Oh.
um, missions. And so that helps with Mama Chronicles because mental health awareness is a social issue. Postpartum depression is a social issue. Maternal rates are a social issue. And so looking at these pre-existing issues on a larger scale and realizing that when they do exist, what are the resources that exist for them currently? And then how do we connect to those resources? And so I do not want to be the person who does everything. I'd rather be the person who knows everybody so that I can bring different people to the table, share more vetted resources. And so my professional background, my educational background has really helped me with kind of researching and identifying the true problems, like where they stem from, so that we can find more rooted based solutions versus
Mm,
something like something more surface level because that's not going to help long term. The goal is long term wellness. Um, and then my corporate role as a life cycle retention specialist, which basically means when I come into contact with someone, whether it be email, SMS, digitally, in person, how do you keep them coming back? But what does it look like to build different touch points that are more intentional so that you can see what their life cycle looks like with you. So that can be applied to any type of business. You need to have some type of life cycle strategy, but for Mama Chronicles, it is very intentional of making sure that the mom feels greeted when she first meets us. It can't be I come to an event and I didn't even meet the person who started it. That's not a good experience. And so really looking at the user experience and determining how I want a mom to leave my event and then building out that life cycle from that way. So my professional backgrounds really play a big role in the way that I engage with Mama Chronicles, the way that our emails are scheduled. Um, from the way that I greet people in every email. It's, hey, mama, because that's my thing. That's who I am in real life. And so really making sure that every touch point is intentional, so that we are making sure that the community that we're building is life-changing for everyone that comes to an event or follows us on social media, or just hears about us from word to mouth.
That is so cool. So basically being more relatable, personable is what brings the ladies back to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm. That's the hard part. So for some of us that are introverts, it's so hard to be so personable um, when they're trying to build a community like that.
You
I
know what? And it is for extroverts as well. It's a lot of energy to be, hi, hey, how are you? And remember people's faces. That takes a lot of energy, especially when we all come to the table with our own experiences and, we've all had a friend break up and all of those things, right? So it does take time. And so I do make sure that I have my personal outlets so that I can show up in those spaces that way. Or I practice what I'm going to say sometimes. Sometimes moms always ask me, how did you get this started? I'm like, okay, well, I know that's what they're going to ask me all the time. So how do I perfect that to where it's short enough, to where it's easy for me to say, and then it is my personal story so it doesn't feel like a script. So some things do have to be practiced. And then you also have to guard your energy too. So if you fill it out and it doesn't feel right, don't force it. It has to be your actual personality.
like that. And how did you build your team?
Ooh. Um,
Is that a struggle? Because I know it's hard to find the right aligned group of people to work with, especially when you're dealing with women sometimes, because we're so emotional and we go through so many different things.
yes. I have had three variations of teams thus
Okay.
far since 2021.
Mm.
They are all voluntary based at this moment. And what I have realized is working with moms can be challenging. It's not shade, it's the truth as a mom myself. We have so many other roles. Picking up something voluntary is not always my top priority, and life happens, right? And so building a team has been a challenge, um, mainly because it's hard to get people to be as invested into your baby as you are.
Oh
Uh,
my God. Mhm.
and expecting that of them and then not paying them for their time is another subset of challenges. And so I have had an amazing time with connecting with the different women who have joined my team in any way that they can serve. I think that I like to be flexible because I'm a mom. I understand that everything cannot always be in my control. But I will be honest and say that is a touch point, and it has been a challenge because I do burn out quickly from managing social media, responding to messages, showing up to the event, setting up, breaking down, being the partnership person. And it would be nice to delegate those things, and trust that they will be handled to the capacity that I would do them. And it doesn't always happen that way. And so, team has been a touch point that I'm really being intentional about moving forward. I think from the 15 women between those three subsets that I have met or have worked with me, maybe four I have retained. Um, and so you just learn people, like you learn what people's passions are, and they have to learn what their passion is too and what their capacity is. Um, moving into this next season of Mama Chronicles as we're planning 2026, 2027, we will be having some paid roles, because I know what I need. I know what I need them to do. And so I do think that the capacity will look different when you're able to say, hey, mama, I can pay you for this. You need to take it serious. And so, um, it's a lot working with other moms, other women as well. Not everybody's personality is bubbly like mine all the time. And, having tough conversations can be tough. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like, what is our purpose? And if our purpose aligns, then we can work together and you can have those tough conversations and then still be friends after. And so it's been great. but it is a challenge to build a team.
I'm so glad you answered that question so eloquently because that has been a challenge for many women, including myself, as far as like building the right aligned team. And I love the fact that you didn't give up. You know, you say you have, cycled out between 15 different women and sticking with four as of now. I think
Yeah.
that's great.
Thank you.
Still pressing forward. So tell me about postpartum in this space. I know many women suffer in silence. What does it mean to you to create a safe space, supportive platform through events, storytelling, and resources for the women?
Postpartum is a heavy topic.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a trending topic right now because so many more women are using their voices to speak out about their experiences or their triggers, which is amazing. I think it's beautiful. We've all grown up hearing about the what to expect when expecting book, but they left out the postpartum part. I think we've talked a lot about labor and birth, and then we didn't place that same emphasis on what that fourth trimester looks like for the mom.
Mm.
um, Everything is kind of centered around the baby, and the baby has to eat every 2 hours. But if the mom is breastfeeding and I have to feed every 2 hours, how often should I be eating? How often should I be hydrating? And what does my care team look like? And so to create spaces for those type of conversations, it can be very emotionally heavy. We've had a postpartum support group and we cried every session
I was
because
just about to ask you, I know it's a lot of tears.
yes, it's heavy because it even if it's not your experience, you can identify with it. It's motherhood is like a shared language that we all know. Until you become a mom, you'll know too. Um, and so it's easy to get tearful when someone's saying like, I haven't showered in 3 days because hearing the baby cry, it does something to me. It cripples me. And so um, to create those spaces where moms can come shed those emotions and then leave feeling like someone heard them or with some solution or someone saying, if you want to just come to my house, we can figure it out together. Creating spaces like that, that warms my heart because I know firsthand how it can be to be on the other side of postpartum to where it's dark and heavy and you feel alone. And then you meet the middle part where you're like, okay, I feel a little better, but those feelings still linger. You still have to work those feelings out. You still have to talk about them. So to create spaces where you can come talk about it, find solutions, meet different resource providers, find friends, that is the most exciting part to me. I don't really care about the ticket sales. I mean, it's great. We have to pay for spaces and things like that. But the impact is really what I do it for. I love sitting back and watching all the mamas network and the kids play like that. That is what really made me continue to do it, even through my own postpartum experiences.
All of that is so good because postpartum is so hard. Because I remember my kids are older now. My oldest just turned 11, but I remember being so depressed because a lot of times our husbands don't understand what we're going through.
Mhm.
They don't understand that life doesn't just bounce right back for us. We're
Yeah.
dealing with what do I do with my life at this point? Because sometimes I know for me, I was confused about what I wanted to do with my life. I felt like my life was being held back. I had so many things I wanted to accomplish, and I felt like I couldn't just go like I wanted to go because now I have to pack around the stroller, the bag, and diapers, and I gotta have all this stuff with me. I can't just get up and go anymore. So, and
Yeah.
then to watch my husband still just get up and go and do everything he
Go
needs.
to the gym every day.
So that was depressing. Is I don't know
Yeah.
what. So a lot of times they don't understand. So I didn't have a place at that time. So I think that's a beautiful thing, that what you're doing because some women don't have
Mhm.
the community that you creating because I did not have that. I just had to suffer in silence until the years passed by and I was able to gradually come out of that phase because that was a very tough time.
Mm.
And I'm sure a lot of women are going through that because the husbands just don't get it. So I know y'all cry a lot about that too.
We do. And it also has to lead into different conversation with our husbands. You know, I've started having a lot more conversations with my husband this postpartum period than I did before because I didn't have the vocabulary for how I felt. I just felt bad. Watching you walk out the door pisses me off. Well, why does it piss you off? Because I can't get up and leave the same way that you can. Because if I go somewhere, you're gonna call me and ask me a question about where the bottle is. Why do I have to know everything, right? And so we do challenge moms to have different conversations before baby comes and during, and creating space for that. In creating Mama Chronicles, I've had deep conversations with my mom and my grandmother, and they said the same thing. Like, I did not have that type of support when I was having kids, you know, and it's just like realizing that women have suffered for so long.
Yes.
It's mind blowing to me because I look at my mom and I've always seen her as Wonder Woman, but I'm like, how did you do that with three kids? I have two, and I'm like, I don't want no more.
Oh,
Pause.
how old are
Like,
your children?
how did say that one more time?
How old are your kids?
My son is 4, and then I have a 3-month-old, and I'm already like, mm-mm.
With my two, it's like you didn't even fully come out of the first postpartum because it lasts for like 4 to 5 years. So it's like,
And research is always changing. I read something that said the effects can last for 6 years for a woman's brain to go back to normal
oh my
size.
God. So
So
you went,
imagine having kids back to back to back to back to back. You never have a chance for your body to reset, like chemically.
mhm. Yes. So I can just imagine. I remember, trust me, I remember because I did that with my two, the two youngest ones back. They were like 3 years apart. So I didn't get a chance to fully. I was literally the second one was not a planned pregnancy. So I was actually extremely upset with my husband when I got pregnant. Like it takes two, but I was mad at him.
Yes.
I almost wanted to get divorced because I was mad. I was like, I don't want to, I'm just trying to, I was just feeling like, okay, I'm becoming myself again. I'm getting ready to get back going with my business and try to find myself again. And here it is. I was pregnant. I was
Starting from scratch.
mad. I was so,
Yeah.
so yeah. So,
It's a challenge. It is a challenge. And having those conversations with men, my husband made a joke like, so when we try for baby number 3, and I'm like, are you carrying that baby? Who's carrying it this time? Um, because men don't understand. But I realize that it's not for them to understand. It does not happen to them. And so expecting him to know how I feel, it's asking him to do the impossible. As a man, they focus on different things when it comes to the family. You know, I would be mad that he wanted to go to work all the time, but my mom's like, the man is providing. And I'm like, okay, but I'm providing here. And there's different roles that we play. And how do we find the middle ground to where I don't hate my husband because you got me pregnant? And he's not like, damn, I should never give her no more kids. You know, you have to find a balance. And a lot of that just comes from having tough conversations, um, and asking for more help. I realize that the village can't always be your mom and your grandma. First of all, the moms and the grandmas, they're different. They want to live their lives too. They raised you. It's like, I don't want to come, I want to send the grandchildren home. But that's when you reach out to friends. That's when you find the right type of educators and um, I think the community can be a little bigger than who we originally thought it was. It's not meant to just be grandmas and aunties.
yeah, yeah. I was such a, I'm so, such a, I would say I'm so overprotective. So
Mm,
it was difficult for me to allow anybody else in to help other than my mom.
hmm
I was not allowing my kids to go anywhere else. I don't care if it was friends. Nobody else was going to be able to keep my kids because I was extreme overprotective and thinking nobody was going to be able to take care of them on the level that I did, other than
Absolutely.
a parent of mine that
Absolutely.
loved them the way that I do, you know. So I was always overprotective. And to this day, I'm still overprotective. They can't go anywhere unless I'm there. I know that's
Times
crazy.
are crazy now. You have to be. And I had a helicopter mom. Okay. My dad died at a young age. And after that, my mom was just like, these are my babies and nothing's gonna happen to them.
Yeah.
And So I very much had the overprotective mom, and she would say, "You'll understand when you become a mom." I understand.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
like your heart living outside of your body, and you want to protect them from everything. And that's why I've really been intentional about creating relationship with resource providers, because if someone can tell you, hey, no, you will like her because she does this, this, and that, or they carry this, this, and that. If somebody can give you a resource that you already trust, it makes you more open to trying. Not saying that you're gonna just jump and go with it, but it makes you more open to try something versus reading like a Google review from
Right.
somebody you don't know, right? You have to have some willingness to try if you want something different. I'm in therapy, and my therapist always says something to me that always sticks with me. She says, if you want something you never had, you have to do something you've never done. And if
So
you want peace of mind, if you never had it, you got to do something different to get a piece of your mind back. And so I think the same is true for moms. You can't ask somebody to trust you blindly with their babies, right? But what does it look like to give yourself a little bit of space so that you can go get your hair done, or you can take a
yeah.
nap. You gotta find a little bit of trust so that you can just do something for yourself. And that's a hard ask. But building those relationships does make it a little easier when you have people that you can actually trust to do that. And then those people have to follow out your wishes with your baby, but that's another conversation.
Right. That's why this is such a beautiful thing, what you're doing with the moms. That is, man, that's why it's such a beautiful thing because I know being an overprotective parent, most mothers are, and we are very skeptical about who we allow around, just
Mhm.
even allow around our children.
Mhm. Mhm.
By you creating a safe space like this, I'm just want to say thank you. Even though I don't have any small children, I know there are a lot of women out there that do and need this because we be lost right after having a child, and we be so depressed and sad, just sad for nothing, just break out crying
Mhm.
for nothing.
Mhm.
And without a support system other than our family, and our family members have their own lives.
Yeah.
They don't have any small children at the time. So they're not really our support system other than other women that are kind of going through similar things. So I think that's beautiful. So I love it.
Thank you. I love it too. It's definitely taken its own form. Definitely didn't think I would be doing this as a young girl, but all of the things that I've experienced in life, I feel like has led me to this point to where I can be just a positive person in this space. And then I'm a very open book. My mom's always like, you can't be telling all your business like that. And I'm like, well, if God gave me these experiences, it's not just for me to experience them. Somebody has to be willing to tell their story so that there can be some change. And so I don't mind sharing my authentic story because it's my truth. It's who I am. And I find that because I am that way, I am able to make those deeper connections, those deeper relationships. And people do trust me with their important information. And I take that to heart. I'm a Scorpio, so I can hold a secret. And so I really take leading in this space so personal because it is very much personal work, and it goes beyond a paycheck. It goes beyond a ticket sale. It really is building a community um, beyond the aesthetic part of saying community. It can be ugly, it can be challenging work. It can mean pushing past your own trauma to help somebody else. Um,
You,
and
I'm
go
not mean to cut off, but you said you share your person, you share, and you have shared your traumas and different things. How is that? Because I have tried to do that in community, but for some reason, when I have tried to share things about myself that was troubling with me, it wasn't. I was met with like more of a gossip thing versus people actually being a support system. How were you able to do that and people respected your trauma? Like everybody sharing their different things that they go through, but when you share yours, it's not received the same. Have you experienced that?
I have. Um, I'm the girl that in high school girls always wanted to fight.
Same. That's why I'm talking.
I
Yes,
I had a
for no reason.
hard time. I had a very hard time with
Me too.
girls.
Me
Um,
too.
and so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm also very sensitive. So I
Me.
could never understand, like, why don't they like me? What am I doing that makes them want to fight me? Like I'm not that person. And it took me a really long time to be comfortable in my skin because girls didn't like me because I thought I was all that. Or and I'm just like, want me to be? Who do you want me to be? And it took me a while to be this Carmen. It took me a while to be comfortable enough to, I don't care what you have to say about me. I don't
Hmm.
care because I know that it's not directly my issue. It's your insecurities that are offended by my confidence. And I'm not mad at you for it. I can't be mad at you because you're struggling with it yourself. I simply learned to realize who's for me and who's not. And who's not for me, if they show up and start gossiping, I know not to share my business with them no more. They won't come again, and if people can't be open to receiving your story, that is a sign that they're not meant to, and it took me a long time to understand that because I'd be hurt when I lose friends. I'd be hurt
Yeah.
when I fall out with certain people. But now that I've gotten to a point where I'm very protective with who's in my space. I know what to share, right? Like I'm not telling my
Right.
whole secret book. But there's some things that you can afford to share that will connect you with other people on a deeper level. And again, those people who it shakes so much to where they're like, girl, she said this, she know this. That's not the person you want to connect with anyways. And so sometimes you have to use your story to sift through the
Mm.
energies and it's heavy. I get my feelings hurt all the time and my husband's like, you
Yeah.
got to stop making all these friends. But I'm like, but
Hey.
that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what God put me here for. And if it don't work out with them, it wasn't meant to, but that's also a part of my experience. And so, like you just said, how do you work past that? It's something I'm always working through, but I'm in therapy. I have my own
I need
personal
to get
group of friends.
yes.
Um,
Hey.
and I realized that the space that I create for Mama Chronicles is not necessarily my space to go and find my healing. I'm creating the space for other women to find their healing. In order for me to create that, I have to come a little healed. And so what does it look like to have my own circle, my own village so that I can build this larger village? And I think that's where people go wrong. It's like you create this space for businesses to thrive and you come sharing your hardship. Well, they're coming to you for thriving information. So it's conflicting messages for them. So you kind of have to um, balance out what you're willing to share in your story so that you still can present the way that people see you as. And that's a heavy task to carry, but I think you just
Mm.
learn through the different experiences. I'm not perfect by all means. I fall out with people all the time. And it's not a beef, it's just from different personalities, and you just got to take it how it is.
Mhm. That was a great message. I'm sure this will help a lot of other women that experience this as well. Because you definitely gave me a word for today too, because
Mm.
goodness, it's difficult
It is.
as a 'cause, even though you went through those things in school and childhood, some of those things we still experience today because people still look at you the same way. They may not want to fight,
Yeah.
but they fight in
Yeah.
other ways, whether it's
Yeah.
spiritually or emotionally or, sabotage or something like that,
Yeah.
because they look at you that you have more, you bring, you think you're all that, or you have more to offer than them. So they looking at you as, like I say, you think you're all that instead of understanding you still are human and you still have your own
Hmm.
traumas regardless of what you have, or you
Hmm.
have a husband, like all kind of things people get upset about.
Yep.
So
My mom used to say when I was younger, people talked about Jesus. What they gonna do about you? And I'm like, oh well,
that
well, and Jesus had to keep going. Jesus had to keep going, so you just keep going. And so it
is
is,
so
that's the message. People talked about Jesus and he didn't stop.
that
So
is
you
so
gotta keep
true.
going.
So as you're a mom with a major inspiration for you. So tell us more about your mom's influence and how it shows up in your work you're doing now?
Ooh. I'm proud to say that now my mom is my little friend. You know, growing up, she's like, I'm not one of your little friends. You are now, mom. Being the oldest child and having a lot of responsibilities at a young age, I struggled with why my mom was so hard on me and, just those different things. Um, and it wasn't until I became an adult and I was able to handle different responsibilities by myself did I realize that even through her survival mode, I was being raised in a way to where I can fully function as an adult. And I'm able to look at my mom and just be like, wow, you did all of that with everything that was up against you or every challenge. Like it became a an admiration for my mom because it's hard. It's so hard for me. And I'm just like, Mom, how did you do it? And so being able to go to my mom and her share her story very rawly with me, um, it made me admire her because I know that I'm cut from a different cloth. Like I know that my mom will push through whatever, and because I've seen her do it, I know I can do it. And so I've always been inspired by my mom, but becoming a mother myself really took it to another level because my mom is still standing. She's got grown kids, and watching her be a grandmother, ugh, like it's making me emotional because um the mother that I am is because of the mother that she was to me. And my mom said something to me when I gave birth to my first child. He was about 2 years old. She came down from California and she said, if I could be reincarnated, I want to be your kid. And I'm like, my
That's
mom would want to be my child. That that was the most amazing compliment I could ever have from the person that I'm like in awe about. So my mom is definitely the most inspirational person to me. Her story is very unique. It has a lot of trauma, but it has a lot of triumph and it has a lot of spiritual and physical growth. And yeah, that's my mom, and I get to say that's my mom, and she gets to say that's my daughter, and it's a beautiful thing. So to have a daughter now, I'm like, ooh, I can't wait.
those girls are something else. Oh my God,
Aren't
my daughter
we?
is like a teen, and now she's got that attitude. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is, but then I think back, I was like, oh yeah, I had that attitude. I don't know why I'm
Mhm.
acting like I don't
Mhm.
understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, but so let's talk about your upcoming event, Postpartum Pancakes for Summer 2026. What can attendees expect, and why is this event so important for motherhood community?
Oh man. Well, if you did not come to 2024's Postpartum Pancakes, you missed out. That was our first ever experience. We sold out tickets, and the feedback I got from that event was I felt like I arrived just from the feedback. We did not have it this year because I was pregnant and I was going through my own post-pregnancy experience, and I'm going through postpartum now. And postpartum 2026 is there are so many words that have become basic, like saying transformational experience. Like everybody's transforming their lives. Well, what are we doing differently, right? Um, and so I withdrew hosting postpartum and pancakes this year so that I could really focus on what true impact looks like for today's moms. It goes beyond massages and cocktails. It goes beyond panels where I'm just hearing information. And so 2026 postpartum and pancakes is really meant to be a user experience where mothers can bring their personal stories to our space so that we can all find out how we can understand that we have more in common than we want to acknowledge most times. But like, what does it look like to really work through some things in person, to where you can walk away feeling like a stronger you? Yes, those services, different vendors and stuff, those are always appreciated. But like I'm really focused on building out our program so that when a mom comes into postpartum and pancakes, you feel like you were meant to be there because there's something for you deeper than a panel, deeper than a pamphlet that you put in a tote bag. And I think a lot of that is coming from my current experience through postpartum right now. But then also the connections that I'm meeting with other moms. It's want to be more transformational because we have more moms on the panel of planning this time. We have more hands in the pot so that it can be more dynamic, so that single moms can be heard, adoptive moms can be heard, mothers that have experienced miscarriages can be heard. Like the conversation for moms is so dynamic. You can't just have one person planning it and saying, this is the idea, this is what we're going with. And so it's a lot. It's going to be a lot, but it's something that I'm really pouring all of my energy into because I know what it's supposed to do for the moms that are coming. So, um, I don't know if that answered your question without giving, all the ideas away, but it's going to be deeper than a
Listen,
pan.
all I can think about is pancakes, okay? All I hear is pancakes out of everything you said. 'Cause I
And
want
we
some
do have
pancakes right about
pancakes.
now.
We have a full-on brunch experience. That was the highlight of our Postpartum Pancakes 2024. Everyone's like, "Are you bringing back the same caterer?" I'm vegetarian, but I love good food. And so um, I'm a firm believer that holistic wellness starts with what you put into your body. So, how do you marry wellness and good food? I'm that person. So, I'm going to do all the taste testing before I bring somebody there. And the food that we had was amazing. And so, we do have some amazing food, but it's beyond a brunch experience. And so, you definitely have to come and experience it for yourself.
Okay, I love that. Well, before we get out of here, what advice would you give to a mother listening right now who feels overwhelmed in her postpartum season and unsure where to start?
Whew. Mm. Be nicer to yourself. It's okay to not know what to do right now. It's okay to not have the time to get all these things done on your plate. That's not your season right now. Sometimes the postpartum season comes to slow you down. Sometimes it comes heavy so that you can reevaluate some of the heavy things that you've been carrying. I think the postpartum season is meant to transform you into the next version of yourself. And the reason why I feel so heavy is because we're fighting turning into a new person. We want to go back to who we were pre-pregnancy. We want to be back into those same pants. You're not meant to go backwards. You're meant to go forward, and it's okay not to know what that journey looks like. But you have to take the steps to find something new. And so you have to do something you haven't done before to get to this next version of yourself. And you don't have to do that alone. If you are ready to do something different, reach out and make a new friend. Go to the coffee shop and start a new routine for yourself. Go through your clothes, decide what doesn't fit anymore, take it to a consignment shop, get some money to get some new clothes. Whatever is your pain point, that's your challenge to make it better. And be nicer to yourself. Get out of your head with some of the things that we say to ourselves and some of the way we can be our toughest critic. And so, if you're in your postpartum experience and it's heavy for you right now, I understand. It's meant to be heavy because you're meant to grow and be better than you were before. And so I'm always open to have conversations with moms about their postpartum experience. If I don't know the answer, I'm always willing to find it and find a resource. And so find people like me that are willing to be a positive force in your life. You can't go talk to people who are negative themselves. It's only going to make your experience feel heavier. You have to find light people. You have to find people who are willing to pray for you, who are willing to say, "Hey girl, do you want to go grab lunch?" Or, "Hey girl, can I bring my kids over and we all sit and do nothing together?" You got to find the people that pull you out of that darkness. And so that's a message to myself, but also to something that I would want someone to tell me right now, just to be nicer to yourself and and give yourself the care that you really deserve right now at this very moment.
Oh, that was a beautiful message. I wish I would have heard that a long time ago when I was going through that, because that would have really helped me, because that
Mhm.
was very beautiful message you said. You're changing into somebody else. You're not going backwards. This is your time to, you're growing. You're not going to
Yep.
be the same person once you have a baby.
Mhm.
Wow, that was a message. Thank you for sharing that. How do people contact you in case they would like to reach out or join your community?
Of course. The best way to stay connected is always Instagram. We are at Mama Chronicles. That's Chronicles with a K. My personal Instagram is Miss period CTK. My email is linked in both of my bios, and you can always slide in my DMs. I am a very personable person. There's nothing that you can ask me that will offend me unless you're trying to be offensive. Most of the
Mm.
time, I meet a lot of different moms, and so you have to be willing to put yourself out there if you want to reach out. But I am an open book, so feel free to reach out on social media. My email is contact@mamachronicles.com, so you can contact me that way as well. And I look forward to hearing from other moms. I would love to hear any feedback from this call or if there are any things that I've missed. I think the conversation of motherhood and postpartum is ever evolving and it's not just my story, it's everyone's story. So if any moms that heard this have something to add on, please share so that this conversation can continue and can continue to touch other moms that might be, in a dark place with their motherhood journey.
I love it. All right. Well, Carmen, thank you for your vulnerability, your vision, your voice. You're helping moms feel seen, supported, and celebrated. And that's a legacy that will ripple for generations. To everyone tuning in, remember, being a boss woman doesn't mean doing it all alone. It means building the right systems, the right support, and showing up in your truth. And until next time, stay aligned and keep building. All right, guys. Bye. And thank you again for joining me today, Carmen. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.